Attention travelers. Major airlines are cracking down on carry-on bags in a way you've never seen before. Size, weight, and even seemingly harmless items could disqualify your luggage. Missing this critical update could cost you time and money. Are you ready for these new enforcements? Number 1. Standard carry-on size limit. Ever heard someone say, they never actually check the size of your carry-on? That might have worked in the past, but not anymore. Airlines are cracking down, and the 22 by 14 by 9-inch limit is no longer just a guideline, it's the rule. Gate sizers, those metal frames near the boarding area that many travelers used to breeze past, are now being actively enforced. If your carry-on doesn't fit, get ready to pay. Those extra fees people complain about? They add up fast, especially when checking a bag at the gate can cost you upwards of $50. One traveler recently shared her experience on social media after being charged for a bag she thought was fine. The culprit? A loose strap that made the bag slightly too wide to slide into the sizer. Tiny details like this are catching travelers off guard, and the added stress is making boarding chaos worse. It's not just about the money, it's the delay, the embarrassment, and that sinking feeling of losing control of your trip. So why does this size limit even exist? It's about space. Overhead bins aren't magic storage vaults. They're designed with exact dimensions in mind. Airlines say it's also about safety. Bags that don't fit properly can block exits or fall during turbulence, putting passengers at risk. The takeaway? Grab a tape measure and check your bag before you leave for the airport. It's a simple step that could save you a big hassle later. And while we're on limits, don't forget about the second bag, the one under your seat. That has its own rules, and it's just as easy to get wrong. Number 2, personal item must fit under seat. Think your personal item can be a sneaky second carry-on? Most airlines would disagree. The rules are crystal clear. Your personal item must fit under the seat in front of you, with a standard maximum size of 17 by 13 by 9 inches. Still, many travelers try to cheat the system, only to be stopped at the gate. That oversized duffel bag or tiny roller suitcase you're hoping to pass off? It's likely too big and may cost you extra. Or worse, it could be sent to the cargo hold. One traveler recently vented online about being charged $30 for her personal item, a small, hard-shell suitcase she claimed fit under the seat. The reality? Even though the airline agent gave her a measuring stick, the bag stuck out too far to qualify. And she's not alone. Items like gym bags, stuffed to capacity, and oversized shoulder totes are often flagged for being too bulky. The space under your seat isn't just there for convenience. Airlines rely on it to keep aisles and exits clear for safety. Overloading that restricted area could even affect passenger comfort during the flight, as cramped foot space leads to more complaints. Your best bet? Stick with a backpack, laptop bag, or purse that fits the dimensions. Speaking of following rules, let's talk about one carry-on item that's strictly monitored: lithium batteries. Number 3, lithium batteries only in carry-on. Did you know one of the most common reasons carry-ons get rejected is due to lithium batteries? Lots of travelers are caught off guard, unaware that any battery over 100 watt-hours, WH, isn't allowed in the cabin. While this might sound like an obscure rule, it's one that TSA agents are enforcing more than ever, and the limits aren't as difficult to exceed as you might think. For example, larger drone batteries, high-capacity camera gear, or power supplies for tools often go beyond that 100 watt-hour maximum. Imagine arriving at security and being forced to leave behind an expensive piece of equipment simply because it had too much power. This exact scenario is happening to passengers carrying batteries that look normal but fail the wattage test. One traveler recently shared that her camera's backup battery was confiscated after exceeding the limit by just a few watt-hours. The reason behind this seemingly strict rule? Safety. Lithium batteries can overheat and catch fire, conditions that are far safer to manage in the pressurized cabin than in the cargo hold. To address this risk, TSA agents rely on X-ray technology and watt-hour labeling to enforce limits. So before heading to the airport, double-check the watt-hour ratings of all your devices. Speaking of batteries, wait until you hear the rules for power banks. Number Number 4. Power banks must be off and visible during flight. Think you can just toss your power bank in your bag and forget about it? Airlines like Southwest have a rule that might catch you off guard. Power banks need to be turned off and visible at all times during the flight. This isn't just a minor policy, it's a safety precaution. Lithium-ion batteries, which power most banks, can overheat or short-circuit. And when that happens at 30,000 feet, it's a serious problem. Imagine this. A passenger traveling with Southwest was asked to remove their power bank from a buried section of their carry-on. It wasn't visible and had been left on, which posed a potential fire risk. The flight attendant explained they needed immediate access to the device in case it malfunctioned. That small oversight delayed boarding and left the traveler scrambling. But why the extra caution? The Federal Aviation Administration emphasizes that lithium batteries, like the ones in power banks, can spark or ignite if they're damaged or get too hot. Keeping them turned off, properly packed, and within reach allows the flight crew to respond quickly to any issues. It's a critical move to avoid a mid-flight hazard. So pack smart. Turn off your power bank, stash it in a visible spot in your carry-on, and always keep it accessible. Now let's dive into another commonly overlooked rule, the liquids rule. Number 5, liquids rule. Still sneaking full-size shampoo bottles into your carry-on? Here's why that could quickly ruin your travel plans. The TSA's 311 liquid rule is one of the most strictly enforced regulations at security checkpoints. If you're bringing any liquids, gels, aerosols, creams, or pastes through, they're limited to a maximum of 3.4 ounces per container, all packed into a single, quart-sized clear bag. Anything that doesn't follow this rule will be confiscated, no exceptions. And it happens far more often than you think. Some items passengers assume are fine often end up being tossed. Think sunscreen, full-size conditioner, or even a bottle of barbecue sauce. One frustrated traveler shared their story about being forced to give up a jar of Jameson BBQ sauce at security. Yes, they count peanut butter and sauces as liquids too. For items just slightly over 3.4 ounces, the outcome is still the same. It goes in the bin. So why does this rule exist? Security is the main reason. Liquids are screened separately to reduce the potential for threats, standardizing what's allowed through. TSA officers rely on this consistency to keep everyone safe while maintaining efficiency at the checkpoint. To avoid delays and losing your stuff, stick to travel-sized containers and that trusty quart-sized bag. Next up, let's talk sharp objects. Another easy mistake. Number 6. No sharp objects tools over 7 inches. Think your small scissors are safe to pack? You might want to take a closer look. TSA rules strictly prohibit sharp objects over 7 inches from being carried onto planes, and even smaller items can be confiscated if they appear dangerous. This isn't just about big knives or oversized tools. It's a rule that catches passengers off guard every day. Take the case of a traveler who tried to bring 8-inch sewing scissors to finish a crochet project mid-flight. They were stopped at security, where the blade length alone disqualified the scissors, forcing them to be thrown out on the spot. Another passenger carrying a small multi-tool had it confiscated because, despite being under the length limit, its design suggested it could function as a dangerous weapon. These examples highlight how the TSA prioritizes safety above all else. If there's any doubt, the item doesn't make it through. The 7-inch rule helps create a clear line for travelers, but TSA officers also have the discretion to determine whether an object poses a threat. This is why even something like knitting needles, while technically allowed, might be flagged depending on their size or sharpness. To avoid losing valuable items, stick to blunt-tip scissors or tools within the allowed size. Number 7. Powders over 12 ounces may require extra screening. Did you know something as harmless as baby powder could cause delays at airport security? Powders over 12 ounces are flagged for additional screening, and if your bag is pulled aside, it can turn the smoothest airport experience into a stressful one. This rule often surprises travelers, but it applies to more than just baby powder. It includes protein powders, spices, and even cosmetic powders. Picture this: a traveler in a rush grabs their protein supplement for a trip, unaware the canister is slightly over TSA's 12-ounce limit. At the security checkpoint, the bag gets flagged, containers are opened for inspection, and the line starts piling up behind them. TSA agents might even use advanced imaging technology to screen the substance, turning a 2-minute bag check into an extended delay. It's not about inconvenience, it's about security. According to the TSA, powders over this size could potentially conceal dangerous substances, which is why they're subject to greater scrutiny. The solution? If you're packing powders like baking ingredients, makeup, or supplements, keep them under 12 ounces. Anything larger should go into your checked luggage to avoid extra screening entirely. Preparing in advance not only saves time, but also avoids awkward situations at security. Ready for the next surprise? Some airlines are charging for carry-ons, and you might not see it coming. Numer Ocean. Some airlines charge fees for carry-ons. Think your carry-on is always included in the price of your ticket? For many airlines, that's no longer the case. Budget carriers like Spirit, Frontier, and Ryanair are notorious for charging travelers anywhere from $10 to $75 for a carry-on bag, depending on when you pay the fee. What's worse, if you get caught at the gate with an unpaid carry-on, those charges can skyrocket. Suddenly, that cheap ticket isn't so cheap anymore. For example, a traveler flying with Frontier shared how they were quoted $39 online to bring their carry-on but decided against it. At the airport, the same bag cost them $79 to bring on board. Policies like this aren't just about surprise fees. Airlines are adopting them to maximize revenue and manage the limited overhead bin space on their planes. Major airlines, while less aggressive, are also introducing stricter carry-on policies, sometimes tied to lower fare classes. Even loyal customers aren't immune to these changes. Here's the bottom line: don't assume anything. Check your airline's carry-on policies before booking. These rules can vary not only between airlines, but also between fare types on the same airline. So what worked for your last trip might not apply now. Ready for a bigger change? Let's look at the real ID requirements headed our way in 2025. Number 9, baby food formula allowed in reasonable quantities. Think TSA rules mean you can't bring liquids through security? That's true, unless you're traveling with a baby. In that case, you're allowed to carry breast milk, formula, and baby food in reasonable quantities, even if they exceed the standard 3.4-ounce liquid limit. Sounds simple, right? Not always. Parents have reported wildly different experiences at security checkpoints. One traveler said they breezed through with pre-mixed formula and frozen breast milk. Another? They were pulled aside for extra screening, delayed 20 minutes, and asked to open sealed containers. The inconsistency often comes down to individual agents, airport procedures, or even how items are packed. And here's the kicker: reasonable quantity isn't a fixed amount. TSA intentionally leaves it vague, which can create confusion and stress, especially for first-time parents. Bringing just enough for the flight is usually fine, but if you're stocking up for a long trip, be prepared to explain. The key takeaway? Pack smart and expect variability. Keep baby items separate and clearly labeled, and always allow a little extra time at security. Now, while we're on the topic of what you can and can't bring, let's talk about electronics, specifically those pesky airport laptop rules. Number 10. Why you'll need a real ID to fly in 2025. Beginning May 7, 2025, getting on a domestic flight in the US without a real ID could leave you stranded at the gate. This new requirement mandates that travelers present a federally compliant ID, like a real ID driver's license or a passport, to board. While the deadline might sound far off, many people remain unaware or unprepared, making it likely that they'll face problems when the time comes. Imagine this. You've made it through security and are about to board when the airline agent stops you. Your identification doesn't meet the new federal standards, and suddenly you aren't allowed to fly. This is a real possibility. Stories of travelers already being caught off guard at rental car counters or federal buildings, where real ID rules are already in effect, give a preview of what might happen at airports nationwide. It's a simple mistake with frustrating consequences. To check if your ID is compliant, look for a star in the upper corner of your license. If it's missing, you'll need to update your ID to meet the federal standards. State DMVs have different processes, so it's best to confirm the steps well in advance. Ignoring this means risking major disruptions, and no one needs that stress on travel day. Let's talk staying informed. It could save your trip. Staying informed about carry-on rules isn't just a good habit. It can save you unexpected fees, prevent delays, and make your travel experience far less stressful. With regulations and airline policies constantly evolving, relying on outdated assumptions could cost you more than just a few minutes at check-in. From carry-on dimensions to the smallest items in your bag, paying attention to the details is key. Which of these rules surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. By preparing ahead and staying up to date, you're setting yourself up for smoother, hassle-free trips in 2025 and beyond. Safe travels!